Have you ever noticed that your muscles never seem to fully relax? You wake up in the morning and your traps are tight. By the end of the day, your traps are still tight. Maybe your jaw feels tense for no obvious reason. Maybe you grind your teeth at night. Maybe your calf locks up while you sleep. Maybe there's a random twitch under your left eye that keeps showing up out of nowhere. Maybe you get tension, headaches, neck stiffness, or even that wired, tight feeling in your chest that you can't quite explain. Most people blame stress. Others blame posture. Some people think they just need to stretch more. But what if all of these symptoms are pointing to the same deeper mechanism inside the body? And what if that mechanism has a lot less to do with tight muscles and a lot more to do with how your cells handle calcium? We've been taught to think about calcium as the bone mineral. When most people hear the word calcium, they picture bones and teeth. That's it. But the truth is, calcium has a much bigger role in the human body. Its job is not just structural. One of its most important functions is cellular signaling. Calcium helps cells communicate. It helps nerves fire. It helps muscles contract. It helps regulate the heartbeat. It helps your eyes move. It helps the body respond instantly to signals. So right now, as you're watching this, if your heart is beating, if your eyes are moving, if your muscles are holding tension, calcium is involved. That means calcium is not the enemy. The real issue is when calcium is in the wrong place at the wrong time, or when the body struggles to move it properly. And this is where things start to get interesting. When a muscle contracts, calcium moves into the muscle cell. That is essentially the on signal. Calcium entering the system tells the muscle to tighten, shorten, and produce force. But relaxation is not passive in the way most people think. A muscle does not relax simply because you stop using it. Relaxation is an active process. For the muscle to let go, calcium has to be moved back out of the place where it triggered contraction. And that requires energy. Specifically, it requires ATP. Now, here's the key piece most people never hear. ATP does not work properly without magnesium. Magnesium is required for ATP-dependent processes in the body. In simple terms, if calcium is the switch that helps turn contraction on, magnesium is essential for helping the body complete the process of relaxation. Without enough magnesium support, muscles can become stuck in a semi-contracted state. Not always a full spasm, not always a dramatic cramp, but a constant low-grade tension that never fully disappears. That's why some people feel tight all day long, even when they rest. Think about how this works inside the muscle. Outside the muscle cell, calcium is highly concentrated. Inside, the concentration is kept much lower. When a signal from the nervous system arrives, channels open and calcium flows inward. Because of that concentration difference, calcium can move in quickly and trigger contraction. But to relax the muscle, the body has to push calcium back where it belongs. That takes work. It takes energy. And that energy system depends on magnesium. So if you don't support that process well, you may have muscles that turn on easily, but don't turn off efficiently. That is one reason people can experience tight upper traps, jaw tension, teeth grinding, muscle twitching, calf cramps, tension headaches, and even certain types of palpitations. Now, obviously, not every symptom comes from one cause. This is not a one-size-fits-all explanation for every person. But if you constantly feel like your body is holding unnecessary tension, this is one of the most important patterns to understand. A dramatic way to picture this is rigor mortis. After death, ATP production stops. Without ATP, the body can no longer actively move calcium out of the muscle machinery that causes contraction. As a result, the muscles stiffen. That example is extreme, of course, but it shows the principle clearly. Relaxation is not just nothing happening. Relaxation requires energy, and magnesium is deeply tied to that energy-dependent process. So when people say, why do my muscles always feel switched on? This may be one of the reasons. Now let's talk about one of the most common areas where this shows up, the traps. When most people think of the trapezius, they think of the little area right beside the neck and shoulder. But the trapezius is much bigger than that. It extends up toward the back of the skull, across the shoulders, and all the way down the upper and mid back. It is a large, important muscle involved in posture, shoulder positioning, and neck support. And in a lot of people, the lower fibers of the trapezius are weak, underused, or poorly activated. Why? Because modern life trains the body into sitting, slumping, staring down at screens, and living in a forward head posture. When the lower traps are weak, the upper traps often have to do extra work. And when the upper traps do extra work all day long, they become overactive, overused, and chronically tight. So yes, posture matters. If your head moves 1 inch forward, the load on the muscles behind your neck and upper back increases dramatically. Move it forward 2 inches, and that burden increases even more. Keep doing that for hours every day, and your upper traps are constantly carrying stress they were never meant to carry alone. That means this is not just biochemical, it's also mechanical. And this is where smart improvement matters, not choosing between minerals and movement, but understanding how they work together. A weak lower trapezius can make the upper trapezius overcompensate. A constantly overworked upper trapezius can become more vulnerable to persistent tension. And if your body also struggles to handle calcium efficiently because of poor magnesium status, the problem can get worse. That is why some people stretch constantly but never feel lasting relief. Stretching may temporarily reduce sensation, but if the underlying muscle is overloaded, under-recovered, or stuck in a poor signaling pattern, the tension keeps coming back. Now let's go a level deeper. The traps are also closely tied to the body's stress response. When people are in a chronic fight or flight state, their shoulders often rise, their jaw tightens, their breathing becomes shallow, and their neck muscles stay activated. You can often see this posture instantly. It's the classic guarded, braced position. So yes, stress does matter, but stress may not be the whole story, because underneath that stress response, the body still has to manage the chemistry of contraction and relaxation. If that chemistry is off, the muscles may stay tighter, longer, and more easily. That's one reason magnesium gets so much attention in these conversations. Magnesium plays a role in neuromuscular balance, recovery, sleep quality, and how the body handles stress signals. It doesn't mean magnesium is a magic cure for everything. It means magnesium is involved in so many foundational processes that a deficiency or insufficiency can show up in multiple systems at once. This may also help explain why some issues show up more strongly at certain times of day. For many people, symptoms such as calf cramps, early morning tightness, jaw tension during sleep, or waking with a stiff neck seem worse at night or in the early morning. The body follows circadian rhythms. Hormones change, nervous system tone changes, hydration shifts, mineral balance shifts, and recovery demands change while you sleep. So if your body is already struggling to fully relax muscle tissue, those vulnerable hours may reveal the problem more clearly. That's why some people wake up feeling tight instead of restored. And the problem doesn't stop at muscles. When calcium regulation is off, other issues can also show up. Some people experience palpitations. Some struggle with headaches. Some deal with muscle fasciculations, cramps, or feelings of internal tension. In broader conversations, people also talk about calcium showing up where it shouldn't in soft tissues. Now, this is where nuance matters. Soft tissue calcification, kidney stones, vascular calcification, and joint problems are complex issues with multiple contributing factors. But one idea worth understanding is that calcium does not act alone in the body. It is influenced by magnesium, vitamin K2, vitamin D, kidney function, acid-base balance, hormones, and overall metabolic health. So the bigger picture is not calcium is bad. The bigger picture is this: calcium must be properly directed, properly regulated, and properly balanced. And magnesium is one of the major players in that balance. Even vitamin K2, which is often discussed in the context of helping calcium get to the right places, works within a larger network of nutritional support. Magnesium is part of that network. So when people obsess over one nutrient but ignore the others, they miss the full picture. Another overlooked factor is diet quality. Highly processed diets, especially those loaded with refined carbohydrates, excess sugar, poor quality oils, and low nutrient density, can make the entire system work worse. They don't just affect body weight. They affect insulin signaling, inflammation, sleep quality, stress resilience, gut health, and mineral handling. And if the body's internal environment is off, even a good supplement won't fix everything. Think of the body like a fish tank. If the water is contaminated, the fish become stressed. You can try feeding them better. You can try treating isolated symptoms. But if the environment itself remains unhealthy, recovery stays limited. Your body works in a similar way. It runs on major regulatory signals: stress hormones, blood sugar control, inflammation, sleep, digestion, hydration, mineral balance, nervous system tone, and energy production. If one major signal is badly disrupted, it can affect everything else. So if someone is trying to fix muscle tightness, but they are sleeping badly, living on refined food, under chronic stress, dehydrated, and never moving properly, the body remains stuck. That's why real improvement usually requires a layered approach. First, look at your movement patterns. Are your lower traps weak? Are you in a forward head posture all day? Are your shoulders constantly elevated? Do you breathe into your upper chest instead of your diaphragm? Second, look at your stress load. Are you living in a constant state of urgency? Are your shoulders braced from morning to night? Is your jaw clenched even when nothing is happening? Third, look at your recovery inputs. Are you sleeping well? Are you eating real food? Are you getting enough magnesium-rich foods? Are you constantly draining yourself with caffeine, poor sleep, alcohol, or heavy stress? Now let's talk about magnesium itself. If you're looking for a magnesium form, often used for relaxation support, magnesium glycinate is one of the most commonly recommended options. The magnesium matters, and the glycinate portion can also be helpful because glycine is an amino acid that may support calmness and relaxation in some people. That doesn't mean it's the only form. Different forms serve different purposes. But glycinate is popular because many people find it gentler and easier to tolerate. And this is important. More is not always better. People hear about magnesium and immediately want a massive dose. But the right amount depends on the person, their diet, their symptoms, their medications, and their health status. People with kidney disease, heart conditions, or those taking certain medications should speak with a qualified healthcare professional before supplementing. That said, one practical principle many people use is dividing magnesium intake instead of taking a large amount all at once. Spreading it through the day may be easier to tolerate and may provide steadier support. And results are not always instant. If someone has had a long-standing issue with muscle tightness, twitching, headaches, cramps, or jaw tension, it may take time to notice meaningful change. A twitch may calm down relatively quickly in some cases. A long-standing tension pattern may take weeks. A deeply ingrained stress and posture issue may take even longer, especially if the lifestyle factors remain the same. This is where remain the same. This is one reason people quit too early. They try something for 3 days, feel only a small shift, and assume it doesn't work. But the body often needs consistency, not random intensity. There are also other ways people try to support magnesium status. Epsom salt baths are one popular method. Many people report that soaking in Epsom salts helps them feel looser, calmer, and less tense. Some also use topical magnesium products on areas like the traps, calves, feet, or lower back. Whether that works equally for everyone is another discussion, but many people do feel noticeable relief from those approaches, especially when combined with better sleep and less overall tension in the body. And that brings us to one final piece that can make a huge difference: myofascial work and targeted strengthening. If your tissues are stiff, overloaded, and reinforced by bad posture every single day, then biochemical support alone may not solve the full problem. You may also need to restore motion, release chronic tension patterns, and strengthen the muscles that are supposed to support proper alignment. In other words, don't just rub the upper traps forever. Train the body so the upper traps don't have to do all the work. Strengthen the lower traps, improve scapular control, restore thoracic extension, open the chest, improve breathing mechanics, reduce the constant braced posture, use mobility and myofascial techniques strategically, not mindlessly. Because when you combine better mechanics with better recovery, the results can be dramatically better. So if your muscles never seem to fully relax, don't assume it's just stress. Don't assume it's just bad posture. Don't assume stretching is the full answer. Start thinking in a more complete way. Muscle contraction depends on calcium. Muscle relaxation depends on energy. That energy system depends heavily on magnesium. Your posture changes the load. Your stress state changes the tension. Your diet changes the internal environment. And your movement habits determine whether the same muscles are being overworked every single day. Fix the chemistry, support the structure, improve the environment, and give the body time. That's how tight muscles begin to let go. If you've been dealing with tight traps, jaw tension, eye twitching, cramps, headaches, or that feeling that your body never truly unwinds, this is the framework to start with. Not random guessing, not endless stretching, not chasing symptoms one by one. Understand the mechanism, support the system, and correct the patterns that keep the problem alive. Because once you understand why the muscle is staying switched on, you're finally in a position to help it